Hey guys, Jess with Peekaboo Wreath. We are back to work on our bow right now. We just added the ribbon and the raffia to our wreath base, and now we're working on our bow. So I have this really pretty pumpkin ribbon that we're going to be using. This burlap with the raw edge, which is really pretty. It looks like this here. We have cream solid. This one here, which we're actually, let me think, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so this is the order we're gonna do. If you watched my wreath or my ribbon tutorials before, you know that I like to follow the pattern of the 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Like 2 loops on each side, then 1, then 2, so that you see all the ribbons. This is the order that I'm gonna do them in. So let's get going here. And you'll notice that I was actually pretty proud of myself. I was very purposeful in the way that I set out my ribbons, kind of doing like solids and then patterns today. So this one is I'm going to start with first. I always use a straight pin to keep my ribbons together. So this one is a directional ribbon. The pumpkins go one way. So if it's going to bother you to not have your pumpkins going the same way on both sides, then you can always build this by hand, making sure that the loops go the same way, which is what I've done in the past. This one, I don't think it's gonna bother me at all. I think it looks beautiful both ways, so I think we're all right. If it was something that had words on it, like a lot of Christmas ribbon, we'll say like Merry Christmas or Season's Greetings or something like that, where if it's upside down, obviously that does not look good. But this, because it's pumpkins, and it'll look good if it's this way, and then if it's facing this way with the stem out, I think that'll look perfectly fine. So I'm not too concerned about it. We are gonna have some tails on this. I do use a self-healing mat that has the inches on it right here, so that it kind of keeps me on track on making sure that my tails and my loops are the same size on both ends. It doesn't always work out exactly that way, but we try our best. And this is a bow dabra. Some people have asked about that in the comments. It looks like this. You put the ribbon in between. It kind of just serves as like an extra set of hands, so that you don't have to hold this and try to measure it out and everything like that. I think I'm gonna put owls in this. So not only am I gonna be using these velvet pumpkins, these right here, but I'm also gonna be adding these owls in. So I don't know if Dollar Tree carries them this year. They've carried them in the past. They're adorable. Some have olive green hats and some have orange hats. And I just think they're too cute. I don't know why, but I just am drawn to how adorable all the little faces are. I know it's a little bit kooky, but I've made wreaths with those little cuties for a long time. This is my 6th year selling on Etsy, and I think I've made them a lot of years. So anyways, all right, so I'm making this. I'm starting at the 10, I'm stretching it out to the 4, so that's like 6 inches. If you spread it, folded it out, it would be 12 inches, but we're gonna do 6 inches on either side. This tail is about 8 inches. Sometimes I do my tails longer, but since I am gonna be putting those owls in there and the pumpkins, I don't want them to be covered up by the ribbon tails, and have to cut the ribbon tails and waste ribbon. So if I know that I want my tails not super long, then I will just not use it at that time. So like I said before, I can tell that this ribbon is directional, and as you see, we have the pumpkin stems facing one way on one side, and then you have them facing the other way on the other side, but I think that looks totally fine. So we're making 6-inch loops on both sides. This last one, you don't have to twist it because you're going to bring the tail down. If you need to, you can always adjust the loops by pulling on the other side. So and I always separate them out while I'm building the bow, because it's just one less step that I have to do once it's fully created, even though I know that there will be a little bit of fluffing that needs to be done at the end. That's a technical wreath maker term, fluffing your bow. See, sometimes I act like I know what I'm doing. Just kidding. I kind of know what I'm doing. Progress So some people will say practice makes perfect. I say practice makes progress. Nothing's perfect, right? Everyone's growing and trying to better themselves, whether you're making wreaths or just living life. So this one here, I always dovetail the ends, even though this one has burlap and it has like a distressed look, it still looks nice and polished if you do that dovetail. I make the tail about a finger width, like one of these fingers, you know, finger width shorter like this so that you can see the different layers. And then I'm making this, I make each set of loops about a half inch shorter than the ones before them. This distressed ribbon I got at Hobby Lobby. I don't know when, but it was in the general section. It was not in the sale section or in the fall section. It was just in the regular ribbon section. So here we go. And you're trying to make both sides as even as possible. You can always go in at the end and shorten it up if you need to. So there you go. We're just going to dovetail this side like that. I have my glue pot going and my hot glue gun on because in this middle of this bow I had one of a certain style of pumpkin, and I didn't know what to do with that one pumpkin because I didn't want to add it in the wreath. And then I like to do a lot of symmetry when I make my wreaths. If I'm going to add one, normally I do like odd numbers, so like 3s. So I'll put, you know, I'll space them out appropriately. If there's 12 ties on the outside, I will, you know, put something else in between the other ones. But anyways, I only had one and I was like trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. So what I like to do when I only have one of something is I will put it in the middle of the bow. So that's what I'll be doing. So that's why I have my hot glue pot on right now, even though I'm still building the bow. So here we go. So see how when you make it about a half inch small, like, or a finger width, that you can still see the loops underneath each new set of loops. You want your bow to be nice and big and detailed, but you want to make sure that you can see all the different patterns. You don't want to just be going through the motions for nothing. I can kind of tell that bottom loop was bigger than these ones, so here we go. And what you can always do too is you can, if you need to go back through when your bow is completely done and kind of do a little tugging here and there, you can. And as I said before, I always take the time. I just use a straight pin and try to keep my ribbon under control. All right, so we did that. Now we're gonna go on to this solid cream color, which is really pretty because it brings out the cream that's in that ribbon right there. And I tend to use my 2.5 inches all together, 2.5 inch width ribbons, I should say, all together, and then do my 1.5 inches. And this is gonna be a big stacked bow because this is one of the main focal points. I shouldn't say the main focal point because I'm going to be adding some really pretty pumpkins and those owls in there. And the ribbon and the raffia are really pretty too. So it's all in the details around here at Blue Wreaths. I appreciate details in the things that I purchase, and I expect my customers to also enjoy that and come to expect that in my work as well. So there we go. You'll have to let me know what you think about this color combination. So far we have this. I didn't realize it, but I noticed that I've been drawn to a lot of olive tones this year. I haven't done too much like orangey fall. So I know that I've been using orange a lot for my orange and blue football wreaths. So I guess I've been getting my orange fix in that way. This Bodabra I've been using for ever since I started making wreaths. So it's getting a little bit worn I wouldn't say worn out, but it is getting worn because it's not, this part here is, when you first get it, it's like tight where you can barely get the ribbon in there. And now the ribbon tries to get out when I make the bow too tall, so. But it still works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You have to let me know what ribbon, what bow maker you use, or if you make them by hand without using any ribbon or bow makers. I know there's a couple different ones. I know there's like a Pro Bow the hand, which a lot of people use. I did not buy that one when I first started because I was originally, when I was making wreaths when I first started, I was doing it in our home office upstairs. Our home office has since turned into our newest son, our youngest, who's now 5, his bedroom. So when I first started making these, we only had one son, and I would make wreaths during his nap time. So he was, when he was little, and now he's not so little anymore. So here we go, we're putting one, we're running out of that ribbon, which is good. It's a somewhat satisfying feeling to use an entire roll of ribbon. When I first started, I had in my head, I wanted to eventually have so many supplies that I didn't have to go to the store every time I wanted to make a wreath. And I have reached that limit and surpassed it probably at some level. Oh, but here we go. And then we're going to use this golden one, which is the same one that we used in our ribbon tails. So it kind of ties that design together. So we're just going to stretch that down. Normally I make like a top loop for my bows, but this one we are going to glue that pumpkin on the top, I think. So I'm going to try to make these loops like a little bit bigger than I normally would, because that pumpkin is going to be taking up some space, and I want to make sure that I can still see the bows, or the bow loops underneath. So this is getting a little bit tall. There we go. I need one more loop on this side. And then we're going to make our tail, and then we're going to be done with that. Be able to come in and put that pumpkin on there. Okay, there we go. You guys will have to let me know what you think about this. Alright, just going to gather that together. Has it been feeling like summer or fall where you live? Here in Michigan, it has been feeling like fall. It was very hot, very early this year. And then all of a sudden it got cold. Not cold, but like in the 70s. And it was not that hot for a long time. And now I'm wondering if it's gonna get hot again. All right, so I have my pipe cleaner. It's the same color pipe cleaner that I used to do my ribbon tails. Even though the client will not see the pipe cleaner on this, I just like to keep it the same color so that from the back of the wreath it still looks nice and tied together. I take my hand, I put it underneath the bow stack, I pinch it as tight as I can. This is how big and thick it is. I take that pipe cleaner, I move my thumb just a smidge, and then I gather it all together from the back. I give it a few good twists, as tight as I can. And then from behind it looks like this, nice long one here. And then this is the little piece that I tied. So I'll just put that long piece through when I attach it to the wreath. And now I'm just gonna go through and pull all the tails down, make sure that they're in the right order. Like this, it gets kind of a little bit wild and crazy when it's getting gathered. Part of what you do when you tighten it is it kind of perks up the loops as well. So I guess that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And then I just straighten it out. These are always wired ribbons that I use, so that if you store it and then you get it out, you can straighten it out, make it look as good as it did when I first created it for you. So here we go. Just straightening it out, making sure that we have the 2-1-2-1 pattern that we originally planned. Okay, there we go. So it looks like this. I'll pull that tail down and see how you can still see, if you look closely, you can still see the pipe cleaner right here. So that's why we're going to come in and we're going to put that pumpkin. So let me step off camera just for a moment to get that pumpkin ready. I had to glue the stem on a little bit. All right, let me get that pumpkin for you real quick. I actually just changed my mind. I realized this pumpkin is way too big. It is not going to work out. It is way too big for that bow. So instead I'm just going to use a pine cone. I just put some hot glue on there, and then I'll just incorporate pine cones into this design as well. So there you go. Just make sure that when you do hot glue that down, that all your loops are where you want them to be, because that glue will obviously glue your loops into the pattern you have them. So there you go. So there we go. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.